My name is Zahid, I'm 25, and for most of my life, I've been a creature of habit, anchored firmly in the familiar, dusty rhythm of our Karachi neighborhood. It's a place where anonymity is impossible. Everyone knows your lineage, your business, and your troubles. Here, every connection, whether by blood or simply by proximity, becomes a thread in a tightly woven, inescapable fabric. The story I'm about to tell is about one such thread of connection so quiet, so genuine, that it fundamentally altered the course of my own small life. It concerns a man who lived directly across the narrow lane, and if I hadn't witnessed it all firsthand, I doubt I would ever have believed how an ordinary, daily interaction could become an extraordinary destiny. Right across from our gate stood a small, slightly leaning general store, operated by a man we all called Ismail Khan. He was a thin, 50-something man with a wise white beard and kind keen eyes. He carried the traditional, stoic image of his Peshawar heritage, but always with a soft, enduring smile. The true focus of this story, however, is his son Kamran. Kamran was a year or two younger than me, tall, with sun-darkened skin, and a voice so naturally calm and respectful that it immediately put anyone at ease. He was the antithesis of the stiff, proud stereotype many held. 90% of my errands, dictated by my mother, Ami led me inevitably to Kamran's shop. The sugar is gone. Get some turmeric. We need tea bags. Check if we have salt. It became a ritual. I, like a restless child, would grumble about interrupting my own leisure time. But deep inside, a strange curiosity began to bloom. I suspected Ami was sending me intentionally, though I couldn't say why. The reality, as I would soon learn, was simpler. Kamran's inherent goodness was irresistible. The genuine warmth and respect he offered were rare commodities in our often harsh urban landscape. He was so gentle, so meticulously polite, that it softened my own guarded heart. One evening, I was engrossed in watching a cricket match when Ami called out, "Zahid, please run out and get some fresh yogurt. I need it for dinner." I sighed dramatically. "Ami, later. The match is at a critical point." She gave me a look that brooks no argument. "The match will run away from you. Go now. I need to start preparations." I reluctantly pulled on my sandals and crossed the street. Kamran stood by the counter, smiling that familiar, peaceful smile. "Zahid bhai, assalamu alaikum," he greeted me. "Come in. You look tired today. Everything all right?" I managed a weak laugh. Amy's sudden commands. That's all. Kamran went to fetch the yogurt, his movements quick and graceful. "How is your Amy though? She looked a little run down yesterday when she stopped by." I stopped short. Amy came to the shop. I was home. Why didn't she call me? Kamran nodded. She insisted on coming. She just wanted dates, she said. I offered her a chair to sit, but she smiled and refused. She is a woman of great resolve. Your mother. A sudden, unexpected pang hit me. Amy must have been truly feeling unwell to walk the short distance herself, yet she hadn't wanted to disturb me. I felt a wave of protective guilt. I should have gone, I muttered. Kamran smiled, a deeper, more knowing smile this time. Mothers are like that, Zahid, bye. They prefer to bear the burden themselves than let their children feel it. His simple observation struck a chord. Most neighbors limited themselves to a mere greeting, but the Khans cared for us deeply, as if we were family. A moment later, Ismail Khan, Kamran's father, emerged slowly from the back. He shook my hand affectionately. "Your father? Is he well? I didn't see him yesterday." I explained that my father was on the night shift. Khan Sahib nodded wisely. "God bless him. I have a small thing for him. Tell him I will send it later this evening. It is a secret. For now." I left the shop with the yogurt, my mind racing. Why were they so invested in us? Part 2. The Secret of the Simple Heart. The following morning, as I sat reading on our rooftop, Kamran called up from the lane. "Zahid, can you come down for a moment?" I hurried down. He was holding a small, brown paper bag. "This is for your Amy, from Khan Sahib. He made me promise to deliver it to you personally." Inside the bag, I found 2 items, a small, dark wooden prayer bead and a handful of premium dried Peshawari fruit. Tucked among them was a note in Urdu for our beloved Baji, with prayers for her swift recovery. My eyes felt strangely hot. I had never received such a personal, heartfelt gift from a neighbor. When Amy saw the gift, her eyes immediately filled with tears. "Ismail Khan sent this. He is a man of great respect, Zahid. Your father has always spoken highly of his character." But the profound realization of Kamran's unique character came that evening. I was walking home after buying some bread, and Kamran rushed after me. "Zahid bhai, wait." He was slightly out of breath. He caught up to me and looked nervous. "Can I say something? Please don't be upset." I laughed gently. "Of course, come. Say anything." He hesitated, then plunged in. "You are such a dignified person. You and your family, you feel like my own people. Especially your Ami. She reminds me so much of my own mother." He stopped, suddenly silent, his smile faltering. A dark shadow crossed his gentle features, and in that moment, I understood the wellspring of his kindness. I spoke softly, tentatively. "Your mother, is she no longer with you?" Kamran lowered his head, a faint melancholic smile returning. "She passed away many years ago, Zahid." By the blow felt internal, a realization that knocked the wind out of me. The cheerful, ever-smiling young man before me carried the invisible scar of deep loss. A grief he masked with diligent kindness. I stepped closer and placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. Now, I understand. My brother, I understand why you show Ami so much respect. He leaned into the small, firm pressure of my hand. Yes, Zahid Bhai. In your AMI, I can smell the comfort of my own mother. That is why I care for her. From that day forward, my perception of Kamran shifted entirely. He was not just a shopkeeper's son. He was a gentle soul, a silent survivor whose kindness was a way of mourning. And the time I spent with him, his calm demeanor, his soft voice, his quiet strength began to feel less like a chore and more like a necessary balm for my own urban fatigue. A connection, quiet and profound, was forming between us. Part 3. The Whispers of the Lane. Over the next few days, our quiet companionship intensified. We would often chat outside the shop long after the last customer left. Our conversations were ordinary school memories, neighborhood stories, my father's work, but the feeling was anything but. It felt like two strangers were gradually building a bridge between their hearts, one gentle word at a time. This bridge, however, was visible to the judgmental eyes of the Mohalla. One evening, as we stood talking, a neighborhood acquaintance named Omer swaggered up to us. He was known for his sharp tongue and suspicious nature. "Oh, come," Omer sneered, looking directly at me. "Still loitering about? Don't you have a store to mind?" Kamran replied calmly. "I just finished my business, Omer, by just talking to Zahid." Omer fixed me with a hard, challenging stare. "And you, Zahid? Will you spend all your time with the shopkeeper's boy?" I felt a surge of cold anger. "What do you mean by that tone? Is there a problem?" Omer shrugged with mock indifference. "No problem at all. Just people talk. They say this friendship is becoming a little too much." "People talk nonsense," I shot back, my voice hard. Omer just smirked and walked away. Kamran instantly deflated. "Zahid Bhai, please don't be upset. People here, they always find something to talk about." I looked at him, seeing the genuine distress in his eyes. "Kamran, listen to me. People's duty is to talk. They are paid and nothing else. We will not heed them." It was the first time Kamran looked at me, not just as a friend, but as a genuine pillar of strength. The incident, however, unsettled him. The next morning when I stopped by, Kamran was sitting behind the counter, his face drawn and his eyes red-rimmed. "What happened, Kamran? You look ill," he confided in me. "Omer complained to Khan Sahib last night. He said I was aimlessly wandering and giving people a chance to gossip. Khan Sahib was upset. He just told me to be mindful and not give others an opportunity." I felt a wave of sympathy and anger. The world was so quick to judge the gentle soul. "Kamran, your father is worried about your reputation. He's not angry. Don't take it to heart." It was then I made a spontaneous suggestion. "Look, this evening, come up to my rooftop. The lights are off, and no one can see us. We can just relax and talk." His face lit up with a pure, unadulterated joy. "Truly, you mean it?" "Absolutely. Consider it a promise." That evening, the roof was cool and silent. Kamran arrived with a thermos of hot kawa from his father, explaining that Ismail Khan had sent it for me, saying, "The kawa of the mountains warms the heart and gives courage." We sat in the quiet dark. After a long silence, Kamran finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "Zahid Bhai, I need to tell you something. Please, don't be angry. Don't misunderstand." I reassured him, urging him to speak from the heart. He drew a long, trembling breath. "Last night, when Omer spoke to my father, it made me feel like a shameful burden. But Zahid, the truth is, I think differently about you now. I don't know what it is. Is it just friendship, or something else? But when I am with you, I feel a peace I haven't felt since my mother was alive. I feel that I am not alone." My breath caught. There was no vulgarity, no improper suggestion in his words, only a raw, human need for solace. It was tea. Meanwhile, Kamran struggled with the shop. He knew the stock, but not the accounts, the supply chain, or the necessary haggling with wholesale vendors. I took on the role of his business partner. "This vendor is overcharging you for lentils." Kamran, I explained, hunched over his ancient ledger. "I know a place near Liaquatabad market where the price is 20 rupees lower." "Zahid Bhai, you cannot spend your day managing my business," he protested, looking exhausted. "This is not business, Kamran. This is a debt of neighborliness," I insisted. We worked side by side, restocking shelves, calculating margins, and serving the quick flow of morning customers. Our closeness was now justified, rooted in work in crisis, a clear, honorable purpose. Yet the work brought a new, strange layer of silence between us. The physical labor drew us closer than any conversation had. We would bump elbows behind the narrow counter. Our hands would reach for the same box of tea, but the moment the task was done, we would step back, returning to a respectful distance. Ami's words had become an invisible but tangible barrier. The line between trust and need was constantly in my mind. One late afternoon, we were sitting outside the shop, the shutters slightly ajar to let in the cool air, eating a simple lunch. Kamran's face, though still tired, carried a sense of grounded purpose. "The shop needs more of the premium dates," I mentioned, pulling out a small notebook. Kamran nodded, slowly chewing his bread. He looked at the notebook, then up at me. Zahid bhai, look at us. Yesterday, we were two silly boys worried about a quiet conversation on a roof. Today, we are running a household and a business. It's life, Kamran. It asks you to grow up quickly when it needs you to. He leaned his head back against the wall, his eyes closed. But the silence now. It's different, isn't it? How so? I asked, my pen hovering over the paper. It's heavy. Before, it was nervous silence, full of things unsaid. Now, it is responsible silence. Every word feels weighed. When you touch my shoulder to point out a box, I feel it's a heed. But the feeling. It stops there. It has to. You have drawn the line. His honesty was breathtaking, yet it confirmed that he had fully understood Amy's lesson. I didn't draw the line. We drew it together. For respect. For your father, and for my mother. It's a line of honor, not rejection. He opened his eyes and looked at me, a genuine, weary affection shining through. Yes, honor. It costs more than gossip, doesn't it? It costs true loneliness. But I will pay it. Zahid bhai, you have given me a strength I didn't know I had. The community's reaction was a study in human nature. The same neighbors who had been quick to whisper were now forced to witness the decency and strength of our bond. My father was loudly praised for his neighborly assistance, and Amy's name was spoken with respect for her care packages. The gossip was suffocated by visible, undeniable goodness. But Omar, the suspicious one, could not let it go. 2 days later, he found me alone while Kamran was inside checking on Khan Sahib. Omar swaggered up to me, his tone slick and condescending. Zahid, I must say, you have become a very good man of business. A partner, almost. It's admirable how you've inserted yourself into the Khan family's business so quickly. Very quickly, indeed. His implication was clear. I was exploiting Kamran's vulnerability, or moving too close to something that was not my place. My control nearly snapped. I put down the crate I was holding, and turned to face him fully. My voice was low, measured and colder than any aggression. Omar Ismail Khan is a pillar of this lane. He has kept this shop open for 20 years, selling us his honest goods. When a pillar shakes, every roof is in danger. My family is simply doing our duty to keep the roof over the head of a grieving young man and a sick elder. I stepped closer to him. And let me say this once, so you may tell everyone in your circle of gossip. My friendship with Kamran is clean. It is built on the memory of his lost mother and the life of his sick father. If you wish to find something dirty in that, then the dirt is only in your mind. I did not wait for a reply. I picked up the crate and went back into the shop, where Kamran, who must have overheard, was waiting, his eyes wide with surprise and profound gratitude. That evening, I finally had a few quiet moments with Amy after my own father had fallen asleep. The house was dark, save for the faint glow of the kitchen light. Amy, I started, sitting on the edge of her bed. I spoke to Omar today. She did not open her eyes, but she reached out and found my hand, squeezing it softly. I heard the talk, my son, and I heard your reply. It's heavy, Amy. This responsibility you gave me, it means I have to calculate every step. I can't just feel the natural affection for Kamran. I have to guard it. She finally opened her eyes, looking at me with the deep, tired wisdom that had defined her face the moment she met Kamran's motherless soul. Zahid, my son, love and attachment are easy. They are floods. You feel them, they rush, and they often break things. But respect, honor, and responsibility, they are canals. They require calculation, constant maintenance, and strength to build walls that keep the water running where it needs to go. She squeezed my hand harder. Your bond with Kamran is pure, but purity, in this world, needs a strong defense. You are not guarding your heart, my son. You are guarding his reputation, his father's honor, and the trust I placed in you. That is why I made you the anchor. She paused, her voice turning fiercely tender. It costs to be a good man, Zahid. It costs silence. It costs effort, but a friendship built on that foundation will endure any storm. It will be the straight line you both need to walk. Her words settled the swirling uncertainty in my chest. The task was not to deny the depth of our connection, but to transform it, to civilize it with integrity. Kamran and I were now bound by a covenant of honor, a silent agreement to make our closeness a source of strength, not scandal. The Mohalla was watching, but now, we were ready to show them not a secret, but a new, beautiful definition of brotherhood. Part 6. The Discipline of the Heart. The period that followed Ismail Khan's recovery was marked by an intense, disciplined rhythm. Khan Sahib, though still weak, was back in his shop chair, observing the flow of business with the quiet vigilance of an elder patriarch. He would watch Kamran and me work side by side, never speaking a word of thanks, but often offering a small, knowing nod that spoke volumes. Kamran and I had established a routine that was now purely functional. I would spend 2 hours in the morning helping him organize the supplies and handle the accounts, and another hour in the evening to close up. We talked about invoices, market prices, and inventory, never about feelings, loneliness, or rooftop conversations. Our bond was now like a carefully engineered bridge, strong enough to bear immense weight, but with guardrails clearly defined. This new discipline, however, forced a profound introspection in me. The easy, unburdened affection I initially felt for Kamran had been replaced by a heavy, complex devotion. It was no longer just the attraction of two solitary souls. It was the dedication of an elder brother to a vulnerable younger sibling. I began to analyze Kamran's life with a meticulous focus. He needed a sense of long-term security. He needed a connection to his own community, not just a desperate attachment to mine. One afternoon while taking inventory, Kamran confessed a deep worry. Khan Sahib will not be able to run the shop forever. Zahid, bye. I am a simple man. I know the inventory, but I cannot run the finances. You are capable, Kamran. You just lack the confidence. No, he sighed, dusting flour off a sack. It's more than that. I think Khan Sahib should sell the shop. My head snapped up. Sell it? But this is your livelihood. Your father's legacy, but also his stress. And it keeps me anchored here, too, in a way that sometimes stifles me. He looked around the narrow, cluttered space with a rare expression of dissatisfaction. My father is a Pathan from the mountains. This small, crowded lane is not the place for him, or for me. Now that he is sick, he would be healthier if we moved closer to my mother's family in Peshawar, where he can breathe the clean air. The thought was jarring, but logical. It meant a radical change. The destruction of the very pillar I was tasked with supporting. Yet my job as his anchor was not to keep him close, but to guide him toward his best life. If this is what your father needs for his health, Kamran, then we must explore it. But what about you? What will you do in Peshawar? Kamran looked out at the lane, his eyes distant. My mother's family? They are farmers? I know nothing about farming. I only know general store supplies. Then we find you a better option, I stated, immediately picking up the challenge. If you sell the shop, you will have capital. You are smart, organized. I can teach you the basics of accounts. We can find you a small, manageable business there. A move doesn't mean failure. It means a new foundation. This discussion marked a new phase of our bond, the transition from emotional support to strategic partnership. For the next week, we worked secretly, calculating the shop's value, compiling the inventory, and planning the logistics of a major, life-altering move. This was a true test of my commitment to help him leave, even if it meant losing the daily sight of the person who brought such peace to my guarded life. The pain of the inevitable separation was a quiet, dull ache, but the satisfaction of doing the right thing for his future was a greater reward. The decision to sell the shop, once finalized between Kamran and his father, sent a fresh ripple of gossip through the neighborhood. The rumors were complex and contradictory. The Khan family is financially ruined. The heart attack was a sign that God does not favor city life. Or, most dangerously, Zahid's father is secretly buying the property, forcing the poor Pathan out of the market. This last rumor was Omar's handiwork, a final, desperate attempt to soil the pure purpose of our family's closeness. The gossip stung my father the most. He was a man whose entire life was built on honesty, and the suggestion of exploitation cut deep. Kamran, you must tell them the truth, my father urged one evening. Tell them you are leaving for your father's health. Let them see the documents. This silence will destroy my name. Kamran was hesitant. It is not our job to answer to them, uncle. Let them talk. But Ami intervened, her wisdom the true rudder of the situation. She called Kamran and me into the sitting room. Silence is honor only when it protects the innocent, she said softly. But when silence allows a lie to destroy the dignity of your protector, it becomes weakness. You will gather the Mohalla at the shop, Kamran, not for a party, but for a declaration. The following Friday, after the main prayer, a small crowd gathered outside the Khan family's shop, the usual loafers, the concerned housewives, and, of course, Omar, standing on the edge, ready to pounce. Ismail Khan, looking frail but dignified, sat in his usual chair. Kamran stood beside him, and I stood at Kamran's other side, a deliberate choice. Signaling solidarity and transparency, Kamran spoke, his voice clear and steady. My respected neighbors, my father's health has been weak. The city air and the stress of the shop no longer suit him. After much thought, we have decided to return to Peshawar, to our family, where my father can recover in the mountain air. He turned to my father, who was standing a little distance away. Zahid Bhai and his family have been a true blessing to us. Zahid Bhai has helped me manage the shop in my father's absence, ensuring we did not lose a single rupee. He has stood by us as a son would stand by his family. Kamran then pulled out the sale deed, which showed the property was being sold to a completely unrelated businessman from the city, and displayed it for all to see. The shop is sold, at a good price, to a new owner who is not from this lane. The rumors of financial distress or of the Zahid family buying us out are false. They have helped us transition with honor. The effect was instantaneous and silencing. The crowd murmured in astonishment, not at the move, but at the sheer unexpected transparency. The truth, delivered with such dignity, was an impenetrable shield. Omar tried one final, desperate thrust. If your friendship was so strong, why are you running away, Kamran? Why leave your friend? Kamran looked at Omar, and then his gaze found mine. It was a long, meaningful look, publicly affirming our profound connection, yet confirming the boundary. I am not running away, Omar Kamran replied, his voice ringing with a new maturity. I am walking towards my father's health, guided by the advice of my brother. A true pillar stands wherever it is needed most. We may not share a street, but our brotherhood will never be broken. It was the final, definitive statement. The dignity of Kamran's parting shot utterly dismantled Omar's malicious attempts. The crowd dispersed, not with whispers, but with genuine, respectful nods toward the two families. Part 8. The final threshold the day Kamran and his father were set to leave was quiet and melancholic. The shop was empty, shutters permanently down. The last of the furniture was packed into a small taxi. Ammi, and my father stood with me at our gate. My father, in a rare display of emotion, hugged Ismail Khan tightly. May God keep you in health, Khan Sahib. You leave good memories here. Kamran and I stood apart, near the taxi. This was our final moment, the quiet culmination of months of intense, difficult, disciplined friendship. The accounts are clean. Zahid by Kamran said, managing a tired smile. I have your number. I will call you from Peshawar. You will call me every week. I corrected him. And you will send me a picture of the mountains? I need to see that you and Khan Sahib are breathing clean air. I will, he promised. His eyes were bright, and I knew he was fighting back emotion. I am scared. Zahid by off the new life, the farming, the loneliness. I placed both hands firmly on his shoulders, allowing myself one last moment of unconstrained brotherly affection. You are not lonely, Kamran. Remember what Ami said. You carry the strength of your character. That strength is your true family. You are the anchor now. Kamran closed his eyes for a moment, absorbing the conviction in my touch. When he opened them, the tears were gone, replaced by the gentle resolve I had first seen in him at his shop counter. Thank you, my brother. You have given me a life, not just a friendship. He embraced me quickly, a strong, honest hug. Then, he turned and climbed into the taxi next to his father. As the taxi pulled away, I watched until it turned the corner and disappeared. The lane felt unnaturally empty, the space across from my house a gaping void. The pillar was gone, but the strength it left behind was real. I walked back inside, the weight of the last few months suddenly lifting. Ami was watching me. He is gone, my son, she said. He is gone, Ami, but he is well, and he is walking the straight line. She nodded, her wise eyes full of pride. That is the greatest success. Zahid, you did not keep the easy friendship. You earned the harder, better one. You understood that true love, whether for a friend or a brother, is about building a better future for them, even if it takes them away from you. That day, I finally understood the full meaning of my childhood neighborhood. It was not a place of mere gossip and close walls, but a crucible where true character was forged. I had learned that my role in life was to be an anchor for the vulnerable, and that the greatest strength lies not in passion, but in disciplined, honorable responsibility. My friendship with Kamran pure, tested, and lasting became the quiet, enduring foundation for the man I would become. The straight line was long, but I was ready to walk it.